There are exactly two things you need to know about Power Girl. The first is that she doesn't back down from a fight no matter how outlandish the challenge. The second is that she has a tendency to underestimate her opponents. Which brings us to today's story. The setting: an abandoned waterfront warehouse district, the type of place where problems tend to find superhumans. Power Girl had arrived in Metropolis on what she thought would be a routine patrol. The city was unusually quiet. Too quiet. Which, as she had learned the hard way, usually meant something was about to explode, either metaphorically or otherwise. She landed atop a battered industrial rooftop, cape billowing behind her. Somewhere close, an energy reading had spiked, brief, intense, and utterly untraceable afterward. Most would have ignored such a blip, not Power Girl. Her instincts were justified. Rounding a corner, she found the source. Da bomb, not a literal explosive, but a supervillain with an unfortunate sense of humor and a penchant for heavy ordnance. As aliases went, it was unimpressive. As a threat, however, well, Da Bomb carried a missile launcher. Power Girl weighed her options. The last time she faced someone with bomb in their title, she'd ended up pulling shrapnel from her suit for weeks. But Da Bomb looked calm. Not angry, not twitchy, but waiting, which is how things spiraled. Da Bomb's plan was, on some level, elegant. There was a timer ticking on a device at his feet. It sat there like a black metal chess piece, nondescript except for a digital LED, counting down in cheerful red numbers. And if you're wondering, yes, it was a bomb. Power Girl landed hard, sending out a sonic ripple as a warning. Glass cracked. Da Bomb was unimpressed. The timer continued. Here's where you'd expect a rush. A mid-air lunge, perhaps, or some desperate plea for negotiation, but that isn't what happened. Instead, Da Bomb took a bow, as if on stage. You've got 5 minutes. Get creative, he said, his smile the smug kind that only villains on borrowed time seemed to master. Power Girl, for her part, had encountered plenty of hostage scenarios. She'd bent steel, diffused antimatter cores, even thrown a warhead into orbit. But Da Bomb didn't run. He didn't threaten. Simply waited, arms folded. As if he knew something she didn't. She scanned the device. Lined case, no X-ray possible. No clear wiring, not even a visible detonator. Which meant two things. Either this was the real deal, or it was a bluff. And Power Girl hated bluffs almost as much as she hated losing. With 90 seconds gone, she tested the device's weight. It wouldn't budge. Anchored to the concrete with molecular resin innovative, and not exactly a part one could find at the local hardware store. Da Bomb, in the background, began humming. Something that might have been Ride of the Valkyries, but off-key. Time: 3.5 minutes. Power Girl surveyed her options. Flying the bomb into space was out. Freezing the mechanism could, at best, delay the inevitable by a few minutes. Smashing her way downward was impractical. The anchor system bound the bomb not only to the floor but latched microscopically to the warehouse S rebar grid. She considered for a brief moment, asking him nicely. Instead, she tried to reason. Why this? Why now? She asked. Da Bomb shrugged. Sometimes you want to be noticed. Sometimes you want to see what the icons will do when the script runs out. 5 syllables away from a midlife crisis, and yet there was something deliberate about it. With under 90 seconds left, Power Girl did the one thing her reputation didn't account for. She listened. She looked for the story behind the bomb, the telltale details. And there, pressed around the countdown, displaying ever so slight misalignment in the metal plating, she smiled. Da Bomb didn't. Because in that tiny gap, she saw itrefraction. Not a bomb, but a holoprojector assembly. The real bomb, if there was one, wasn't here. She made a calculated guess, drawing on every ounce of superhuman memory. The energy spike at the start. Too clean. Too reminiscent of one of Dr. Light's simulated power bursts. She stepped back, arms folded, called the bluff. When the timer hit 0, the device did exactly nothing. No detonation, no blinding flash, just a puff of confetti pink and yellow floating to the cracked floors below. Da Bomb's smile slipped, which in a way was its own victory. Power Girl allowed herself the briefest of laughs. She could have ended it there, but Da Bomb's performance begged for a curtain call. She tapped her earpiece, contacted the MCPD, and signaled in a containment unit. Da Bomb, real name, Gary Bardell, former pyrotechnician, was soon en route to a holding cell, his 15 minutes reduced to paperwork and interviews. Later, Power Girl would reflect on it all. How sometimes the real test wasn't whether you could punch your way to a solution, but whether you could look past the surface. Even when the clock was ticking down, Da Bomb would fade into supervillain obscurity, destined for footnotes and filing cabinets. But for Power Girl, it was a day's work. In proof once more that not every bomb demands brute force. Sometimes it just takes nerve.